BRICS nations' vampires who are sucking the U.S. blood dry with unfair trade practices, Trump aide Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro, senior counselor for trade and manufacturing for U.S. President Donald Trump, decried the BRICS alliance and called the member countries vampires whose unfair trade practices are affecting American coffers. In an interview to Real America's Voice, which he shared on his X account, Navarro on Monday, U.S. local time, said that the BRICS member countries cannot survive if they do not sell to the United States, with their exports affecting the Americans due to unfair trade practices. He said in the interview, the bottom line is that none of these countries can survive if they don't sell to the United States. And when they sell to the United States their exports, they're like vampires sucking our blood dry with their unfair trade practices. Let's see what happens. But I don't see how the BRICS stays together, since historically they all hate each other and kill each other. He raked up several examples where he tried to convince of the alliance not working out, as the countries, historically, they all hate each other and kill each other. Navarro said in the interview over the grouping, "Let's see how this is going to work out. Russia is getting into bed with China. China claims they own Vladivostok, the Russian port, and they're already through massive illegal immigration into Siberia, basically colonizing Siberia, which is the biggest landmass of the Russian semi-empire. So good luck with that, Putin." And then India, of course, is at war with China for decades. It was China that gave Pakistan a nuclear bomb. You got ships flying around the Indian Ocean now with Chinese flags. Modi, see how you kind of worked that out. Meanwhile, the Brazil economy is going down the tubes because of Lula's socialist policies. Well, they keep the real leader of that country in a cell. Let's see what happens. His remarks came after the BRICS virtual summit was hosted under the chairmanship of Brazil. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar represented Prime Minister Modi at the virtual summit. He underscored in a post on X that India's message was that BRICS should work towards stabilizing the international economy, address the impact of ongoing conflicts on the global south, and proactively support reforming multilateralism. The president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, highlighted that the virtual summit saw discussions on the need to advance towards a more just, balanced, and inclusive international order, one capable of responding more effectively to the demands of the global south. The BRICS members reaffirmed their commitment towards preserving and strengthening multilateralism and reforming international institutions. He noted in his post, "We will remain committed to actively contributing to peace and to building collective solutions for global challenges," the Brazilian president wrote on X. The BRICS is a group formed by 11 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, Indonesia, and Iran, as described by the official website for BRICS 2025. It is a political and diplomatic coordination forum for countries from the global south and for coordination in the most diverse areas.
This case is arguably the single most important economic case that has ever come before the Supreme Court. If the lower court's ruling is upheld, President Trump has correctly said that will be the end of the United States, because it will be impossible to defend ourselves from the fentanyl poisoning and all of the trade environment, which is hollowing out our supply chains and creating very dangerous problems for the American people. The first is whether or not the fentanyl killing Americans constitutes a national emergency, whether the trade deficit constitutes a national emergency. Of course they do. It's unconscionable that communist China, in league with the Mexican and Canadian drug cartels, are killing Americans with fentanyl and now this new designer drug, it's called nitidine. We're losing, by the end of the day, we'll lose another couple of hundred Americans. It's over 1 million since the fentanyl war against America started. And if that's not a national emergency, I don't know what is. And by the way, the tariffs have helped start to stem that flow, so they're working. If in fact people stop dying from communist, Chinese, Mexican, Canadian drug cartel fentanyl tomorrow, the tariffs would be lifted. We would have no reason to do it. I think we're in very good shape. Bottom line is we're optimistic that the Supreme Court will rule on this. We don't have to, the tariffs will remain in place at least to October and perhaps beyond until the Supreme Court rules on this. And here's the problem with India. It's a two-pronged problem. There's 50% tariffs on India. 25% of them is the reciprocal tariff because of unfair trade. 25% is the fact that India is buying oil from Russia. So start with the reciprocal trade tariffs. The problem is that India literally is the Maharaja of tariffs. It has the highest tariffs of any major country in the world, and it's in denial about that. It tries to tell everybody out there that that's not true when it is demonstrably true. So they should engage with us. They haven't done that as Japan, Korea, the Philippines, Indonesia, the European Union has. They simply think they continue having their way with us. President Trump's not going to allow that. Now, Putin gives India a discount on crude. They refine it, sell at premium prices to Europe, Asia, and Africa. It's nothing but profiteering. India cannot stand on the thin reed that somehow they need this oil to run their cars or cool their homes. It's false, just simply false. It was a shame to see Modi getting in bed as the leader of the biggest democracy in the world with the two biggest authoritarian dictators in the world, in Putin and Xi Jinping. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure what he's thinking, particularly since India has been in a Cold War and sometimes a hot war with China. This case is arguably the single most important economic case that has ever come before the Supreme Court. If the lower court's ruling is upheld, President Trump has correctly said that will be the end of the United States, because it will be impossible to defend ourselves from the fentanyl poisoning and all of the trade environment, which is hollowing out our supply chains and creating very dangerous problems for the American people. The first is whether or not the fentanyl killing Americans constitutes a national emergency, whether the trade deficit constitutes a national emergency. Of course they do. It's unconscionable that communist China, in league with the Mexican and Canadian drug cartels, are killing Americans with fentanyl and now this new designer drug, it's called nitidine, for decades.